Handa na ba you?
Handa na mi.
Ano? Handa na mi?
Handa na mi.
BBM or Pacman?
Epal o bida-bida na miyembro ng gabinete?
Kung may susuportahan o i-endorso man si Pangulong Duterte sa pagkapangulo, anong letra kaya ang meron sa kanyang pangalan?
Oh.
Cellphone.
Face mask. Alcohol.
May one and only.
Yan!
Ang aking mga kaibigan ngayon, mga millennial.
Maraming mga nega, gusto ko ipa-deport sa ibang planeta.
Day after day, I must face a world of strangers.
Ang bandila ng Pilipinas sabay-sabay taas.
It will take a strong man. Alright! Pwede bang tumayo para ipakita kung anong suot mong pang-ibaba?
Ang basketball.
Pakita mo, dadamayan kita kasi naka-shorts na yun.
I was expecting harder questions like love life.
Oh, Ina and Michael, ito pinakakatakutan ko na programa niya.
Diba, it's always nice to see yung lighter side ng mga ini-interview natin.
It's been a wonderful experience tong pag-guest ko sa inyong show.
Ngayon lang ako nakaranas ng ganito.
Matanggal na stress.
Maraming salamat, lalo na sa natatat.
Ratatat! Ratsadang tanong, tapatan at tarang, tahan.
Good morning! Happy Thursday, guys! September 15, 2022. Oras na naman po para makapagkwentuhan at kulitan kasama ang mga taong nasa sentro ng balita ngayon. Dito lamang po yan sa Politiskoop. Ako si Ina Andolong.
Michael Fajatin po, good morning. As promised, we'll be bringing you another guest who is an awardee of the sa People magazine, no? Na
Stargate.
most ano yan? Woman of Style and Substance.
Yan.
Yan.
Okay. Anyway, sige, umpisa na tayo dahil hectic ang schedule niya. Optional na po ang pagsusuot ng mask sa labas o outdoors. Sang-ayon ba kayo dyan? Hati ang naging reaksyon ng publiko sa desisyong ito ng gobyerno. Pero isa sa mga natuwa sa polisiyang ito ay ang sektor ng turismo.
Yan. Oo, kasi ayon sa DOT, good news raw ito sa mga turista. Mas may papakita raw kasi nito na bukas na ang bansa para sa kanila at moving forward na tayo sa pandemya. Speaking of moving forward, nire-review na rin ngayon ang tourism slogan na It's More Fun in the Philippines. Medyo matagal-tagal na rin daw kasi ito at kailangan ng i-update.
And welcome back to Politiskoop. Ngayon ay Tourism Secretary niya, Attorney Christina Frasco. Hi, Secretary. Good morning.
Morning po.
Hello, good morning. Maayong buntag.
Yeah, congratulations, Sec. Before ini-interview na si Secretary Frasco, she was still spokesperson for now, Vice President Sara Duterte. Anyway, ma'am, congratulations.
Very
We're very happy for you.
Thank you. Salamat kayo.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start, ma'am, doon sa mask mandate. We understand, naglabas kayo agad ng statement welcoming yung optional wearing ng mask outdoors. Can you explain to us first, ano ba siya? Was wearing of the masks, talaga nakaka-turn off ba siya sa mga turista natin? Did it affect their pagpasok dito sa Pilipinas po?
Well, nag-conduct po tayo ng study that provided us with empirical data to show that of all the ASEAN countries in the region, only the Philippines and Myanmar continued to have mandatory mask mandates outdoors. In addition to that, sa ating mga key markets, including Japan, Korea, and the like, they've also had liberalization of their mandates, as well as in the USA, in Europe, and many other parts of the world. So in the race to recovery, post-pandemic, medyo nalagay po yung Pilipinas sa back end, simply because continuing to impose a mask mandate outdoors conveyed a partial openness to receive tourists. This same study yielded that in the countries where they lifted their mask mandates, it immediately led to a vast increase in tourist arrivals. In addition to this, there is an existing APEC study that shows that in the countries where very stringent safety and health protocols continue to be imposed, this led to a contraction in the economy versus in the countries where there had already been a liberalization of health and safety protocols that were far too strict. It immediately led to a near doubling of arrivals. So on the basis of all of this data that we presented before the IATF, we are very happy and glad that the President has issued an executive order to make mask wearing optional outdoors.
It's good to hear. Ma'am, aside from the empirical evidence, ma'am, no, the reality on the ground, if I am a vacationista, no, my family is planning to go somewhere, kunyari in the Philippines, perception is key. Tama po ba? Na if I check on the restrictions and the guidelines of a certain country I wish to visit, pag sinabi lang, hindi na mandatory, ibig sabihin, ang perception ko, good ang kanilang health protocols na, good ang kanilang, ang kanilang standing sa in the fight for COVID and all. Perception is key po?
Tama.
Isa po ba ito?
Yes, absolutely. One of the key things in our race to recovery is also building of confidence in your country and confidence among foreigners and Filipinos alike to come back to the Philippines and to travel across the Philippines. If you continue to convey that you're still in a fully pandemic state, it really puts us at a disadvantage because our neighbors have already fully conveyed that they're open and they're ready. And what we want to say to the world is that we are open and ready to receive all of them because, of course, in cooperation with the Department of Health and our local government units across the country, supervised by our national government, we do continue to implement health and safety protocols. And we have a very good vaccination rate. As I understand, it's over 92 or 93%. And the booster vaccination drive is also ongoing.
Okay. Ma'am, are you satisfied enough with the existing protocols to ensure naman po yung safety ng tourists who are expected to, well, hopefully flock to the country following this, yung paglift or pagiging optional ng masks outdoors? I mean, are we guaranteeing? In a way, syempre, they expect na, okay, so we're safe in the Philippines na siguro. Hindi kami magkakasakit if we go there. Are you confident enough in the existing safety protocols to tell them that, yeah, you'll be fine here?
The health and safety protocols have always been in place and they will continue to be in place. The advantage of being where we are now compared to where we were over 2 years ago is that we know so much more about this virus. Medicine exists to combat this virus. We now have a vaccinated population, as well as the hospital utilization rate in our country is not high, and the utilization of the ICU beds is also not high. So we are in a very different position now as we were over 2 years ago. And let's take note, that this is a pandemic that the whole world suffered and lived through and learned from. And we have also learned from it. And therefore, to our mind in the DOT, and we are glad that this position is very clearly conveyed by the President himself. There is such a need to balance the protection of life and the promotion of livelihood. Overall, the effort of the Department of Tourism is to make travel to the Philippines as convenient and as safe as possible. And that is the reason why, while the mask mandate has been lifted outdoors, there still continue to be certain protocols in place that have not yet been removed. And this is the case in any other country as well, that have liberalized their health and safety protocols. We're certainly not throwing caution to the wind. We continue to proceed in a manner that ensures the safety of our guests.
Ako ma'am, my last follow-up on that topic would be just to clear to our audience and to tourists, no? It's optional. Ibig sabihin po, ano to? It's optional for you if you want to wear it. Lalo na kung may nakakaramdam po kayo ng parang sakit para protection for others. Are you beefing up also in place key regions, key cities, key localities of the DOT presence din po, no? Just in case na they're parang accessible po yung mga RT-PCR tests, yung mga antigen tests, hospitals and the beds, just in case po. Are you coordinating also with the DOT to beef up yung places po where the DOH presence is available for our tourists po?
Primarily, the responsibility of ensuring the availability of these kits are with the Department of Health, and the coordination between the DOH and the DOT, as it has always been in place, will continue to be in place in the same way that we are fully and continually coordinating with the Department of Interior and local government. I think the most important thing that we should focus on right now is that finally, after 2.5 years, we are enjoying a measure of freedom from the pandemic that we have suffered through for far too long. It's really time to move on. It's time to move forward. And it's time for us to face this brave new world together. Because I think we've also learned, in these past 2.5 years to be responsible enough in ourselves, that if you're not feeling well, then of course you wear a mask. But otherwise, if you're perfectly fine and you're outdoors, then don't wear your mask. It's voluntary.
Okay.
And of course, ma'am, nabanggit niyo na rin po, no? One particular thing which cropped up or we realize is also our mental state or our mental health, no? Nagkaroon nga ng Dolomite Beach, din nagsana po ito even if it's an artificial beach lang. Parang ganun. So, ibig sabihin, malaki din ang maitutulong po sa kabutihan, kasanayan, at kaluwagan ng ating pag-iisip, itong turismo. My question is, ma'am, is this. Ano po ba ang mas in-expect po natin? Is it foreign tourists or we're also or would likely be in the equilibrium of balancing things na yung local tourists natin mas mahalaga din na bisitahin din po ng kapwa-Pilipino ang ating mga local tourist destinations po?
Yes. International tourism and domestic tourism are equally important to the Department of Tourism. During the time of the pandemic, nakita po natin na yung domestic tourism talaga yung nakatulong sa ating mga destinations to keep them afloat. And we personally experienced this in Cebu. When our borders were closed, it was the locals of Cebu that availed of all of the accommodations, restaurants, etc., and really helped our economy. In the same way, all over the Philippines, domestic tourism is very important to us because nakikita po natin na napakalaking tulong po nito, especially sa ating mga small and medium enterprises na mga hotels, accommodation, restaurants, even the transport sector and the like. Similarly, we also give importance to international tourism, recognizing as well the economic impact that they bring into the country with foreigners coming to the Philippines. One of the 7 objectives that we have under the DOT to fulfill the vision of the President includes the maximization of domestic tourism. And that is why very early on in my term, I already conducted listening tours with all of our 16 DOT regional offices to touch base with them and to give the instructions that we must fully maximize and give equal attention to our tourist destinations all over the Philippines for purposes of further developing this into regional tourism circuits so we can push for domestic tourism.
Okay. Now, dahil gipit tayo sa oras kay ma'am, we know she has a very busy schedule. Let's move on, ma'am. Let's talk about the review of the campaign slogan, It's More Fun in the Philippines. I read in some news articles, you said that it should be basically updated to reflect the Filipino brand. Is there anything specific? What of the Filipino brand do you see should be reflected in the next,
Highlighted.
highlighted in the next campaign slogan?
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank and commend all the efforts that have been made to promote the previous campaign or the existing campaign slogan of the Philippines. We're very grateful for all of this, but at the same time, we've just been through so much as a people and as a country that perhaps we must evolve as well in the same way that people have evolved from the experiences that we've had from our study among our neighbors in the ASEAN. One of their core strengths is the promotion of their cultural identity and their brand as a people. And this is something that we fully intend to highlight for the Philippines, recognizing how rich and diverse our culture is, how distinct our identity is as a Filipino nation, as well as all the positive values that we have as Filipinos that we share in common, notwithstanding all of our regional differences in terms of cultural identity. The president himself has conveyed recently in his interview on Tony Talks that to him, the word that perfectly embodies the Filipino brand is grace. We are such a graceful people, a gracious people. And you can see this whether you're in Manila or in a far-flung barangay, in whichever region in the Philippines. Filipinos have an inherent quality of wanting to welcome guests and to give them the best that they have, no matter their economic income or standing. And all of these values, including our inherent love of family, our sense of community, our bayanihan spirit, our empathy for others, all of these positive qualities need to be conveyed because these are our best qualities that we should herald to the world that comprise our brand as a nation.
Parang no? If you're a foreigner, this is your home away from home. Yan, nagsisimula na naman po ako, ma'am.
Ang
Hindi,
galing.
parang kasi I've always watched foreigners do some blogs. Na parang they always say that, parang this is my second home or this is better than my home. I'm more welcome here than parang mga ganun po
That's
lagi.
true.
Yung po yung binabanggit nyo at binabanggit po ng Pangulo, no? Na ito yung inherent quality ng Pilipino. Just recently, we won so many awards, no? Best beaches,
Yes.
best destination, best diving spots. Nako, ma'am. So magandang balita po ito in terms of Department of Tourism or the tourism sector of our society. Ito,
Michael,
Apa.
flex ko lang, Michael, ha?
Sige, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Go.
Kasi napakaganda talaga ng Pilipinas. And in addition to the World Travel Awards na world's Asia's leading beach destination, Asia's leading dive destination, and Asia's leading tourist attraction, napili din po yung Pilipinas isip one of the 40 best countries in the world by Travel Leisure magazine, highlighting our rice terraces in Luzon, our chocolate hills in Bohol, and our beautiful subterranean river caves in Palawan. In addition to that, Condé Nast has also cited the Philippines as being 3 of the 25 best islands in the world, and that's Palawan, Cebu, as well as Boracay. And Boracay, of course, has been cited by Time Magazine as being one of the 50 greatest places on earth. So much to be proud of.
So much.
To be proud of in the Philippines.
Kaya mga Pilipino, kung di tayo nakakabisita, buong mundo na po ang nagsasabi niyan sa atin, kaya puntahan nyo na. No? Mag-revenge spending na. Ito yung isa sa mga narinig ko pa, revenge spending, on vacation.
Revenge travel.
Revenge travel, parang gano'n. Yeah.
Okay. Michael, siguro take one brief question lang tayo na because we have to let Ma'am proceed to her next schedule. Ako, Ma'am, of course, we're expecting an influx in tourists. I read about it, yung we're groundbreaking or launching yung tourist service rest areas. having new
Yes.
toilets, these practical things that are very, 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 very important to tourists. And of course, the eternal problem of internet connection. It's very important for
Yes.
tourists. How are you addressing
That's so
all?
true.
Sorry, all in one na yung tanong ko, but how are you addressing all these to make
Yes.
the entire experience comfortable here?
Yes.
Toilet and
Yeah.
internet, nako, yan talaga.
Oo. First of all, Ina, my experience as a mayor uh, for 6 years has taught me that you really need to provide the basic services to make life as comfortable as possible for people. And we foresee that basic conveniences can really help our tourists
Yeah.
when they go around the Philippines, and that includes the establishment of tourist rest areas. We're breaking ground this year on no less than 10 tourist rest areas that will have clean and decent restrooms, a pasalubong center, and an information center for our guests. In addition to that, we have also already conducted a due diligence with the Department of Health to study all of the key destinations in the Philippines and the health facilities in these areas for the purpose of introducing improvements to these health facilities to ensure that our tourists are able to get quality medical attention should they need the same. If you happen to get into some trouble where in the Philippines you're scammed, for example, or any other issue that you may have while you're here, you don't know who to call.
Yeah.
Diba?
Tama nga naman,
So, gagawa po tayo ng Tourist Assistance Call Center. A number that you can call to lend you some measure of comfort and convenience while you're here in the Philippines. We're also working very closely with the Department of Transportation, and I'm very grateful to Secretary Jimmy Bautista for purposes of improving our gateways, our airports, our seaports, studying the inefficiencies that are there at present, and addressing these inefficiencies to make the airport experience part of the entire tourist life cycle, including improvement of our seaports as well. In addition to this, syempre, nakikipag-coordinate din po tayo sa DPWH for the purpose of improving the infrastructure, roads, bridges, and the like, leading to tourist destinations, recognizing that we must make it convenient to go to these tourist destinations. Nakikita din po natin na napaka-importante po yung pagbigay ng pansin sa ating existing workforce shortage in the accommodation sector. And that is why we have partnered with the Department of Labor and Employment. I'm grateful to Secretary Benny Laguasma for the conduct of a Philippine National Tourism Job Fair named Trabaho, Turismo, Ascenso. We're actually launching this on September 22, 23, and 24 in Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao. Take note, we have at least 4,000 jobs in
4,000.
these three areas that are available for our job seekers. So if you're a person who has been laid off or displaced in the tourism industry, or you want to have a career in the tourism industry, please do join our Trabajo, Turismo, Ascenso job fair. In addition to this, we're coordinating with the DICT through Secretary Ivan for the purpose of ensuring that we improve internet connectivity in our key tourist destinations. And we will also be developing a tourist life cycle app that will make it as convenient as possible to book all of the necessary components of your trip as to come to the Philippines and go around the Philippines.
Okay. Michael, nako Michael.
That was my last question actually, 'di ba? People make, the best of departments, 'di ba? Tama po 'yan, ma'am. Ang mga tao po talaga, yung mga nagtatrabaho, yung mga Pilipino particularly, sila po talaga ang magwe-welcome sa inyo with open smiles. Kaya magandang balita po 'yan, ano? Hanap na ng trabaho. Saan po sila makakahanap, ma'am? Saan sila pupunta? If I'm interested to, get back or join the DOT.
Yes. Meron po tayong informationals nito sa DOT page, Department of Tourism Philippines Facebook page. You can get all of the information there. There's also a QR code that you can scan if you're interested in applying. Here in Manila, the job fair will be at SMX, and then in Cebu, it will be in SM City, and in Davao, it will be in the Breeza Mall.
Okay. Nako,
Sige,
4,000 jobs. Sana yung meron yung mga
4,000.
na-hire on the spot. Ano? But anyway,
Oh, yes, there is
oh,
definitely a possibility for being hired on the spot.
Yeah.
Ganyan kaurada, ganyan katulin magtrabaho ang DOT ngayon. Guys, so, trabaho na! Apply na kayo!
Okay, let's now go to our ratata. Tanungin na natin, Michael. Masyadong tanong, tapatan at tarantahan. Okay.
Magsimula po tayo kapag tinanong namin kayo ng handa na ba yun. Pag sumagot kayo ng handa na handang-handa na si ma'am, nakakadalawa, pangatlo na po ngayon. No? Tanungin na natin, ngayon ay Department of Tourism Secretary Christina Garcia Frasco.
Handa
na ba you?
Handa na me.
Ratata! Ratsadang tanong, tapatan at tahan.
Okay, first is pili nuts. Pili lang po kayo ng isa sa aking mga sasabihin.
Lagi
Low
tinatanong
tide,
ko eh.
parang beauty queen ito High tide or low tide?
Yan.
That's the question?
Yeah.
High tide or low tide?
Yes.
Low tide.
Low tide.
People or places?
Both?
Both.
Okay. Hospitality or congeniality?
Hospitality.
Okay. More fun or more adventures?
More adventures.
Business or pleasure?
Pleasure.
Vacation or staycations?
Vacation.
Festivals or carnivals?
Festivals.
Okay. And last, smiles or we go the extra mile?
We go the extra mile.
Yes, as always. Charot o trululu? Charot po, hindi totoo. Trululu totoo. Unang tanong po, nalibot o plano nyo bang libutin ang buong Pilipinas? Yan. Para malaman ang tunay na ganda ng ating bayan.
True lalo.
Yes, yan. Makikita nyo na si ma'am. Mas mahalaga ba ang singil? Mas mahal ba ang singil sa mga banyagang turista kaysa sa mga lokal na turista? Yan ang lagi tinatanong nila eh.
Right now, I think it depends on the destination.
Sige.
Okay.
Ito ma'am, ito isang issue doon nag-viral eh. Isolated case lang po ba yung viral na mahal na singil na seafood sa isang lugar sa Bohol?
In that instance, true lalo. But we formed a TWG to address tourist consumer protection. So may interagency TWG na po tayo dyan to address this.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Dapat ba na wag tayong maging banyaga sa sarili nating bayan?
True lalo.
Yeah.
Bonus. Okay, ma'am. Just a quick one. Anong sikat na lugar sa Pilipinas? Sagot na pa. Ang hindi mo pa napupuntahan at gusto ninyo nang puntahan.
Yan. Curious.
Honestly, gusto kong pumunta sa Tawi-Tawi.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Alam mo, sobrang ganda ng mga white sands doon. Talagang pristine. Ano activity naman po? Ay, sorry. Ako na pala ito. Ano activity naman po na pinagmamalaki ng DOT ang hindi mo pa nagagawa tulad sa surfing, cave adventures, diving, at iba pa na maaari namin kayong makita in the near future? Yan.
Okay. Kasi I'm a diver. I've also done a bit of surfing. I'm from Cebu, so I've definitely gone swimming and nature trekking. I suppose siguro the whitewater rafting. Hindi pa.
Yan. Perfect talaga si Secretary. Salamat po!
Ratata! Ratsadang tanong, tapatan at tahan.
Nako,
hindi lang patilitan sa Secretary. Makikita nyo talaga siya dahil siya pala ay athletic din. No? Salamat ng marami, Secretary Frasco.
Secretary Christina Frasco of the Department.
Salamat kayo. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for your continued support for the tourism industry. Napakalaking tulong po nito sa ating mga tourism frontliners and stakeholders. Salamat kayo.
Okay. Thank you,
Salamat kayo, ma'am.
ma'am.
God bless po.
Okay.
Thank
naku,
you. Thank you.
Na-late tayo ng konti. Sabi natin hanggang 9:45. So, but anyway, thank you, ma'am. Thank you din kay Ina Zara kung nandiyan ka pa, Ina. But anyway, yan po.
Inasana po
bagong-
ang direktor sa DOT. Dati rin namin kasamahan sa industriya, si Ina Sara. Yan.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Ang kausap po natin kanina ay bago nating Tourism Secretary.
Bago na po. Oo. Ay siya pala ay nagda-diving din, nag-surfing, kaya makikita, kasama siguro ang kanyang hunk na mister na makikita niyo nagpo-promote ng ating turismo. Kasi sa Cebu, alam mo sila yung pinakasikat na couple dyan. Dream couple nga yung dalawang yan. So magandang
ganun ba yun?
pag-promote.
Very good-looking couple nga naman. Alam mo, ako ay lower to yung binabagit niya kanina na tourist service areas. Talagang with the clean toilets. Sana talaga, sana. Alam mo,
yan.
nakakahiya kasi rin sa mga bisita kapag madinig, mapangge,
Exactly.
ang mga toilet. Tapos alam mo naman ang mga toilet sa atin.
Gusto ko nga sana i-expound ba dyan, pero wala tayong oras eh. Pero ito, sinasabi na po namin, mahalaga po. Yan, mahalaga talaga.
Laging may magic show dyan sa mga toilet natin eh. Laging nawawala lahat ng mga toilet paper.
Hindi. Ito, di ba? Sabi nga nila, cleanliness is next to godliness. So, pati sa bahay nyo, ako sinasabi ko sa mga anak ko, ang toilet lagi dapat pristine yan. Kasi nagpapakita yan talaga ng katauhan nyo bilang pamilya, bilang tao. Tama si Ma'am eh. Bilang nation, if clean toilets pa lang, it sends the right signal na we are clean people, di ba? Kasi gusto ng mga mga banyaga, Ina, ang Pilipina daw, ang Pilipino o Pilipina, ilang beses sa isang araw maligo. Sila, di ba, hindi sila sanay maligo ng araw-araw eh. Kaya tayo talaga dapat.
Sabi ni CJ tungkol dun sa disappearing toilet paper, sabi niya, clean as you go talaga. O CJ, magtira ka ng toilet paper.
Kahit 2 piraso lang. Walang niya. Ay, sorry po.
Ay, nako. Okay. O, sige na. Let's go to our kuda of the day.
Ating kuda para ngayong umaga, yan, ang kagandahan nasa mata talaga ng tumitingin, or beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Pero ang pangit, ang ugali, kahit pabulag, nakikita ito. Yan. Good for that.
Oo nga. Okay. That is Michael's kuda of the day. This Thursday morning, we will see you again tomorrow. Our guest is
Senator Riza Ontiveros. Kaya nga, we are trifecta na yan. Nung Monday, we got Congressman BH. Ngayon po ay si Secretary Frasco. At bukas naman po si Senator Riza Ontiveros. Sila pong tatlo ay awardee ng Women of Style and Substance. Yan.
Okay, we will see you then again tomorrow with Senator Riza Ontiveros. Happy Thursday, everybody. See you tomorrow. Ako po si Ina Andolong.
Michael Fajatin, bye! Love ya!
Bye, guys.
Ang Coronavirus Disease 2019 o COVID-19 ay isang nakakahawang sakit dulot ng bagong diskubre na coronavirus. Ang virus na ito ay karaniwang natatagpuan sa mga hayop at hindi pa nakita sa mga tao noon. Base sa World Health Organization, ang karaniwang simptomas na dulot ng COVID-19 ay lagnat, pagkapagod at dry cough. Ilan sa mga pasyente ay nakaranas ng sipon at baradong ilong, sore throat at diarrhea. Samantala, isa lamang sa 6 na pasyente ang nagkakaroon ng hirap sa paghinga at nagiging malubha ang kalagayan. Meron namang mga individual na tinatawag na asymptomatic o mga nagpositibo sa COVID-19 ngunit hindi nagkaroon ng simptomas at hindi nakaramdam ng anumang sakit. Habang patuloy pa rin dinidevelop at sinusuri sa pamamagitan ng mga clinical trial ang bakuna at mga piling gamot laban sa COVID-19, maaari mo pa rin pigilan ang paglaganap nito. Paalala ng mga eksperto, kung wala namang gagawin sa labas, manatili lamang sa bahay. Obserbahan ang physical distancing. Siguraduhin na napapanatili mo ang 1 metro o higit pa na layo sa ibang tao. Maghugas ng kamay. Iwasang hawakan ang iyong mata, ilong at bibig. Magsuot ng face mask. Ugaliin ding takloban ang iyong ilong at bibig kung uubo at babahing. Kapag nakaramdam naman ng lagnat, ubo at hirap sa paghinga, magpatingin na sa doktor. Tandaan, walang problema na hindi nalalagpasan. Makinig at sumunod sa mga payo ng mga eksperto para manatiling ligtas.